Brothers in Tech is a weekly podcast focused on personal and home technology, helping provide you, our fellow brothers and sisters in tech, with some information, assistance, and recommendations. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Brothers in Tech here on the Mesh.tv podcast network. My name is Alan Jackson. Off to my right, this way, on the computer screen is my brother, Brian Jackson. Brian, how's it going?
Well, I felt a lot better until I heard that intro. That sounded very depressing, actually.
I'm sorry. You're right, it was.
I was feeling much better about myself and this podcast and everything, but yeah, I'm a little depressed now. So thanks.
I'm sorry. No, that was all on me. I take full blame for that. That was not in the best headspace after a long couple of days. You're causing me to miss the Republican debate right now. I mean, I'm not in a great space right now. So,
well, I
love a good debate. I'm sorry. If only there was a way to record things and be able to watch them later.
You only need some technology that will allow you to do that.
No, it's been a long couple of days, but look, in all honesty, I've looked forward to this. This is always the highlight of my week. And I do say that honestly.
Wow. And that's almost believable. Yeah. And I appreciate that.
Should I just do the intro over again? Should I do it over again with a little more enthusiasm?
Sure. Okay, go ahead and say it. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not going to play the whole theme song.
No. Just go straight in. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
B-roll. Let's go.
3, 2, 1. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Brothers in Tech here on the Mesh.tv podcast network. My name is Alan Jackson. Yay. With me is my brother, Brian Jackson. He's off to the right there. How you doing, Brian?
Oh, man, I'm so excited, Alan. I'm so pumped to be here.
Is that better?
Yeah, that felt so much better.
Okay, good.
Felt kind of almost from the heart. So that was good. Thank you. Yeah.
This is Brothers in Tech. This is where Brian and I get together and talk technology, as the name would probably clue you into. But we focus on home, personal, family-related technology, and especially leaning a little more to the Mac and Apple side of things, or the Mac Apple side of the technology world. Not to say we're exclusive on everything, but just so you know, fair game listening to this show, that is where a lot of our recommendations, our experiences are going to come from, is dealing with Mac computers, dealing with iPhones and iPads and other devices. But we also talk a lot about home automation. We talk a lot about other social media work as well. So those things are fairly cross-platform, but we're definitely Mac guys. Just go ahead and own up to it right up front here. So, but we try to get together every week. We talk over maybe a primer on some aspect of technology that we want to make sure people are aware of. Sometimes we also bring our bits, our Brothers in Tech suggestions to the table, software or websites or apps that we feel like you might want to check out, that we've had a chance to play with and are excited about. Tonight, Brian, we're doing a little bit of a revisit on a few things. You and I have both recommended some applications, some new programs and apps over the past, I'd say couple months or so.
Yeah.
And honestly, they've become pretty important aspects of our technology lives. So we thought it would be a worthwhile experiment to kind of revisit where we are with those, talk about updates with these apps. We've had a lot more experience with each of these apps. So it's time to kind of talk about, do they meet our expectations? Are there some issues and gaps we need to deal with? And are we still using them for primary functions? We're talking about apps that are dealing with our email, apps that are dealing with messaging, our web browser, even, for example. So we do have some examples of those ones. People who've been listening to the show the last few weeks will recognize a lot of the apps we're going to talk about. But when we brought them up over the past several weeks, we just had not had much experience with them. We were just excited of the prospects. Well, now's where the rubber hits the road. We've actually used them for a while. We want to talk about how they fared for us. So, Brian, I think we got a few of those we want to try to cover tonight.
Yeah, and I don't think we need to dive back into full deep dives on each of these apps. You can go back to our previous episodes to find out more about them. But now's the time where we find out. Go ahead.
Note to the listener, Brian says that we're not going to find the need to deep dive, which means translation, i.e. we will do a deep dive on each of these apps again. And these shows will go
I'm
on.
specifically speaking to my brother that we do not need to do a deep dive, Alan.
Okay,
Right? So
fair
let's
enough.
try our best to say we have gone over these before. However,
Yes.
I think what I'm finding, Alan, and I think you and I both have the same experience, that I tend to get excited with new tech and new software and new apps, and I love most of them when I first try them. But the real telling sign is what happens after you exclusively use it for, let's say, a week, 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Because rarely do those things actually turn out after a while to be the ones that you stick with. And there's plenty of examples of that. We've done some apps in the past that, you know, both of us have said, "Oh my gosh, this is great," and then we say, "Well, let's see what happens in a month." And but I'm excited to talk about these again, specifically the messaging and the web browsing, because it's you know, they're ones that I have forced myself to use, and I think we can pull up some of the limitations of each one of them, and then the decision of whether those limitations outweigh the benefits or not is kind of the place we need to be. So,
I think it sounds
what
like
do you
a
think?
good plan. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Let's talk first about let's talk about an app that I think we just brought up even just last week, or no, 2 weeks ago, because we took last week off, I believe. Is that right?
Week and a half. Yep, week and a half ago. Yep, I think. Sure.
Week before last, we discussed this.
I think so.
And we talked about a new chat or messaging app called Beeper. Okay. 30-second summary, Brian, is all I'm going to do. Beeper is an app that will basically take your Apple messages and WhatsApp messages, Facebook Messenger messages, LinkedIn messages, Discord, Slack messages, all of them together, and feed them into one application to where you have one interface to check all of your messages and respond to all of your messages in one place instead of having to open up multiple apps or multiple websites.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That is Beeper. Beeper at the time right now is still a free app. You can do it for free, although I think there will be a paid model at some point soon.
Yep.
And I'm going to go ahead and bring up my Beeper window just to kind of remind everybody how this looks. Of course, I thought I had this all ready to pull up.
Do you want to do a quick scan and make sure there's nothing embarrassing on there?
Well, it's just your chat, which that's definitely not anything embarrassing there. So yeah. Oh my God, actually, this is embarrassing. No, it's not. It's fine. So this is Beeper. It looks like a typical chat message window, but it is each of these little icons off to the side of your messages is telling you what platform that's coming from. The first one up there is from Beeper itself. I've got a Discord message in there. Most of mine are your Apple or iMessages. I think I've got a Facebook. I've got a Slack message in there. I see a couple other scattered ones in there as well.
Yep.
So that is Beeper. Brian, I want to ask you, because I'm the one that introduced this app to you. I gave you a code to log in. I was riding high on it when I introduced it a couple weeks ago to you. I will go ahead and tell you before I hear your opinion on it. It is still right now, as of today, my default messages app. I do have a few issues, but it is my default still, if that tells you kind of where I am.
Yep.
Brian, where are you with Beeper right now?
It is my default. I have been using it ever since you gave me a invite to use it. And so that's, I think that's probably about 10 days, anywhere from 10 to 12 days or something that I've been using it. Okay. It is still my default. It's my default on Mac OS. It's my default on iOS.
Good.
And I also have some issues, but there are no issues that have caused me to stop and say I'm not using it right now.
Right.
They are issues that I hope will get ironed out. I just want to mention to people too, and you mentioned this before when you introduced Beeper, our last episode, but I have been incredibly impressed with the speed at which they are updating this app.
Yeah,
I mean, it is daily or every other day. Yeah, as you can see at the top there, there's an update
ready for me. Yeah.
And what I really love about it, Alan, is the overview of the update. So the fact that in your messages will be a chat from the developer saying, here's what's new. And I think yours is probably down a bit. I think I saw it as you got lower. It'll be something with the beeper updates right there.
Mhm.
And I love the fact that, you're getting these updates as a message that says, by the way, here's what's new. And it's a lot. I mean, they are updating this thing at lightning speed, which tells me that they are getting more and more people using it, more and more feedback, and they're addressing the issues. And they've gotten to the point now there are some really interesting new things that have come out. So yes, I'm still using it. Long story short, I'm still using it. It's still my default, but I've had to work around some challenges. So maybe we could dive into those challenges.
I have one major challenge that is my biggest pain point with this.
Okay.
I'm curious to see if it's yours. I'll update that later. So creating starting a new chat, it works just like you do when you're starting a new message in a messaging app. I can do start new chat, and I can start typing in the name of the person that I want to chat with.
Yep.
Very similar to how you do it on another messaging app. To send a text or a message to multiple people is a little more trying. I don't know if you've experienced this, Brian. By default, first off, you have to realize that if you want to send a message to more than one person, you got a whole different button you have to go into. You have to create a group chat. Now, I'm going to forgive that because I get it. You're dealing with multiple types of chat platforms. So not just going in and start typing multiple people's names in a row like you can in Apple iMessages and all. I understand it may not work. But if I go into group chat, then I have to choose, okay, is this going to be a iMessage chat or is this going to be a beeper? So I have to click again for iMessage. Then I type and find my first person, which I type you. I can't just select you. I have to select the little icon over here to add you to the chat. Then I have to go back and delete your name and type in the next person that I want to find and hit their little message chat icon. Then I can finally have a and then I lost it because there.
Yeah, because you canceled, right? And I don't know what you're supposed to do now. I actually don't know.
Exactly. It is.
I have not done a group chat. I have not started a group chat from Beeper yet. I have been in group chats, but not the one that I had to start. So that's
not fun.
pretty annoying. Yeah, that's not very good.
I try, if I know I need to send a group message, I frantically have looked through my history to see if I've already had a correspondence with that same group, and I can just jump into that chat instead of creating a new one, because creating a new one is painful. So that is my biggest issue. If that was fixed, I would be a super fan of this app. But right now, as it is, I'm just a very modest fan of the app. What about you, Brian? Is there challenges you're facing?
Well, it's an interesting, because as I said, I haven't started a group chat yet. Maybe before I get into my issues, try it again. So you start a group chat, and
I have to say, first off, there's 3 buttons you got to press. You got to hit the start new chat.
Okay.
Then you got to choose create group chat, because you don't want to do the beeper matrix chat, which I don't even understand what that is. But group chat. Then you got to choose again, beeper matrix or iMessage group. So I'm going to do iMessage. Okay, now I'm back to my list. Type in your name. Can't just type your click you. Well, yeah, I did. I don't know why. I thought I clicked you. It added you to the group chat. And now I can't just start typing the name of the next person. I have to go through and
clicking me in should have removed that from your search, right? I mean, that's a.
So now I can go in and type in our sister and add her. Okay. So now when now there's a button. Hold on, I got to move the banner at the bottom so you can see it. So now there is a create group chat button at the bottom you have to hit.
Yep.
And if I go and hit that button, now it creates the room. And even though the 3 of us have had a chat in the past, one thing that Beeper doesn't do is it doesn't pull in historical messages from iMessage, from Apple Messages. So it's starting me fresh there, which that's fine. It told me up front when you added iMessage, like, hey, look, we're not going to be able to pull historical messages on these, and that's fine. I didn't care about that.
So, Alan, now that you've created that,
Yeah.
Can you go up to info in the top right and name it? Can you name it siblings or something like that? Does it allow you to do that? I don't think it does.
No, can't name it.
And so that's a bummer because one of the beauties, and I it's kind of a tip that I want to give people, that if you haven't done this already, group chats can be named in iMessage, or when you're using messages on an iOS device, you can go in and say, oh, I've got to chat with these people. I'm going to go name that group family or siblings. So I've got one called siblings. So I could go right now and type siblings, and it would be going to you and our sister. So that means that for you, because I think this is kind of interesting, because when you start from here and go back to new message,
Mhm.
and right there, you see at the top, it says search people, number, groups, or messages. So if you had a name of a group, if you were able to name the group, then it seems like you'd be able to go, oh, siblings, and here we go, right?
So
Now, you've named them elsewhere. Is that right?
yes, this is an iMessage chat that it knows. So if I go in and choose that, it knows this chat group from before, but I did
if-
not name it Jackson Creative inside of this app. It can't pull
Right.
that in from the messages.
Correct. So it recognizes what names have been given to groups in messages, but it cannot create them themselves. So that's why right now, this is one of the things I'm finding, is that this app is great, but it cannot replace yet what some of the things messages can do. So it feels like you have to kind of balance when I'm using one versus the other.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a bummer. But again, as quick as they are doing things right now, I would assume that some of these are going to be improved.
Yeah, there's no way to change the name. So that's a pain. But you're right.
Yeah.
I would think that would be something that would be relatively easy to fix.
Seems like it's very doable.
I
Yeah.
really hope just the whole mechanism of creating a group chat can be made easier, because honestly, it took me forever to figure out how to do it the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
was going 3 button levels deep, and then I had to drop down to a button at the bottom of the window to create it. It just made no intuitive sense, and it was very difficult. So if it's a single chat environment, creating a single chat with somebody is awesome. I think it's great. The multi-chat for me has been the big problem.
Yeah.
That has been the issue.
Yeah. I mean, there's a, this certainly feels still beta-ish, right? Is that there's a lot of little quirks. I mean, let me show you one other thing. Go up to the search and do just type Brian, comma, Mary Margaret. Sorry, sister. Actually, maybe a space. You might have to do a space after the comma just to make sure it shows. Okay, so now as you started doing that, right, it starts picking up all the things in which both of us are on, okay, which is a good thing. Now, as this was happening on mine, so your first 3 there all look the same, right? So naturally, I started saying, well, you know what, I'm going to take the center divider line to where the divider line is, Alan, between the, and I'm just going to slide it to the right to see more. Oh, there's a bug, right? So it got rid of everything you were searching for, right? So there's lots of little quirks like that are just bugs and kind of still need some help.
Hold on now. I was trying to see something here. Oh, wait a minute. So if I go do new chat, Brian,
comma.
Now it gives me the option here of starting a new chat with Brian and May Margaret, but it doesn't know yet which Brian and which May Margaret.
Yeah, click that. Right? Let's see what it does.
See, it says nothing found.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like that has to be the actual name of your group that you've already mentioned.
And right? I kind of get it that, I mean, it is checking on names and identities across. I've got 10 different networks that this is mapped to. So I get it. I understand, like, sometimes if I do a search for Brian and, I can have, I see you for iMessage. I see you for Facebook Messenger. I see there's a window where I can actually go in and see all your different ones.
All your stuff. Right.
Mm-hmm. So I get that. I know that's something I have to accept, is that it is checking all these networks. So there's going to be multiple entries for different people. That's fine. I can deal with that. It's just creating that multi-text message text to a group of people has to be an easier, cleaner process. So
yeah. Well, let me give you 2 and they're minor. I'm sure these are going to be fixed. One that I don't particularly like, and this is just personal. Messages is usually where I go to see the location of someone, like my wife. if I want to go and see, like, has my wife left work yet? And she and I share our locations with one another. I go into messages, I click her name, I go at the top, and then it pulls up a little map and says, here's where they are, right? Well,
Yeah.
you can't do that here, right? There is no kind of link to the Find My or the person locators, which is a bit of a bummer. That means that one of the main uses I have for messages still is in place. So anytime I do that, I got to tell myself, oh, I need to go into messages to get that, which is, of course, now on my very last page of my apps because I don't need it.
Yeah.
But yet I do need it every once in a while. So that's one thing. But I would think that they would be able to do that eventually, because where they have information about that individual up in the top right, I would assume maybe eventually that can tap into the system's Find My or location, or even say here's a link to Find My. That would be great too, right? If I went to info and said, click Find My, and it opened up a new app, there's just a link. That's all it takes. I think that would be great.
I would hope so. I hope all those little enhancements that make it work as seamlessly as it does. Oh, see, that's another little thing to mention right there. It just happened on there. Did you see that?
Yep.
It changed all of my names back to phone numbers without me. I didn't do anything. It just did it. And it has done that sporadically at times.
Yep.
Or sometimes there it goes again. Sometimes I will get a text message on my phone from Beeper, and it's somebody's phone number instead of their name, even though I have texted with them before on Beeper and it knows their name. It sometimes loses that connection between names and numbers. So that's another little buggy quirk thing going on there. Yeah. So it's got some bugs, but I tell you what, though, I don't know about you, Brian, but within my first 2 or 3 days of using this, I was responding to everybody. And that means Facebook messages that had been in there for a while that I didn't even know people had written me there. I was writing people on Slack without having to open up the Slack app, which was great. It was a true game changer using this, which is why I'm hopeful that some of these little minor bugs and quirks are easy things to work out. So
I hope so. Let me give you one other minor issue, and this one I'm not really sure if they're going to fix, Alan. And I had not thought about this until yesterday. I went out for a run, had my headphones in, was listening to music as I was running, and as you listen to headphones, if a message comes in, it will talk to you and say, "Bing," there's a message from so and so, and say whatever. Well, when messages, because for those who don't know it, if it's through your watch is only giving you what comes up on a notification on your phone. It's just repeating that notification. It's not necessarily a new app on your watch. Beeper doesn't have an app for your watch. It just has notifications. Well, the notification came through and said, from Beeper, I'll be home in 10 minutes. Didn't say who it was from. It just randomly. So because it's saying Beeper, and the notification does not say that person necessarily is saying. So anyway, kind of a bug there, and that I was going, I'm assuming that's my wife, and then of course I have to look down and figure out who was coming there. So interesting. So the idea is it's thinking Beeper is the person, or Beeper is the notification originator, right? So that was a bit of a bummer, but.
Yeah, see, like right now I've got pulled up, I'll show you my, I'm pulling up my,
your phone.
Yeah, my phone screen. Yeah, this is my notifications right now I've gotten from Beeper, and they're all phone numbers instead of names, which, that's a problem, because I see that pop up on my screen and I'm like, I don't remember anybody's phone number, so I don't know who these people are. That's an issue, and it seems to be related to the same where it was flicking over to their phone numbers in the app itself on the desktop. So something, the way it matches the names and numbers and how it defaults to those, seems to be having a little bit of an issue.
It's almost like a constantly pinging the server and trying to get updated information, and that's, I assume that'll get better. But what won't get better is that I don't see any way that Apple's going to allow this to become a default messenger.
No.
So therefore, its system, which is made up of messages come through, and messages are what are sent to the headphones and messages are doing certain things, it's always going to have to go around about and say beeper, and beeper is giving you a notification that says this. So there's going to be, those are some things I don't think they can work out, or at least they're going to have to be really creative at working out. Like it'll have to be, the notification will have to be from beeper, from Laura Jackson, that says this. So they're going to have to create a larger notification that's going to have that happen. So, but all in all, you know, I agree with you. It's great to have them all together. Just in my normal sending messages and responding to people, it's fantastic. You can, you know, do basically everything I was doing before, which is react to people and all of that. I got a few things from LinkedIn. For me, I don't get a lot of messages from those other services, but the fact that that's still in there, and that's the only way that I link that person and the message to that person, it's great to have it in there because it feels like just another message. One other piece, and I'll just warn people who are using this, just be aware, and I had this happen the other day, because I'm so used to on messages sending a text to someone that I've already been sending messages to. You just type their name and go straight in, and you get to see your text string and know I'm going to message this person because this is the right number. Well, on Beeper, I went in and said, so the person I was sending it to is, let's say it was Bob, right? I type in Bob, and then I click on Bob's contact there, and it gives a couple messages or a couple of numbers, and they each have the little messages symbol next to them. So of course I click on one, nothing's there, but I go ahead and send a message. Well, 2 days later, I finally went back when I hadn't heard from this person, and I realized I text their work number, which there is no messages for their work number, and I didn't realize. So because I couldn't see what the messages were before, and I assumed it was the first one. It was always going to be the first one, and it wasn't. It was reoriented.
It's almost like, since Beeper's tapping into your contacts on your Mac, your address book, your contacts, which has all the different numbers. Beeper has no idea which of those is a true text message number and which one's not.
Correct.
It's going to give you both, and you just have to kind of figure out which one's the mobile one to use. Unless you've texted them before while using Beeper, then it remembers that and has that.
I mean, I will say there is, you know, if I'm looking at it right now, if you say new and then you're looking at the contact list and you click on that person, it drops down. It'll say, you know, WhatsApp or iMessage, SMS or iMessage. The problem is, I think that if it was a work number like a landline, I think it still says iMessage SMS. I think it just assumes like, well, this isn't an iMessage, but it is SMS based. Well, and I looked at that and thought, oh, that's message. And it wasn't, right? So somehow it doesn't quite recognize, but you know, maybe the more you use it, you get a text string with that person, then you don't worry about it. I mean, there's very few people that I text new all the time. It's usually the same folks. So maybe that works out. But
the first thing you said about this app is is that they are updating it very, very frequently. Constantly, which is a good sign. That means that yes, they're active on that, which is great. So none of these things feel like showstoppers at all. They're all things I think that could be ironed out, hopefully with future updates. Maybe except for the whole default messaging app on your computer. That I don't think is going to happen. It took years and years for mail and calendar to where you could set a different default app for those. I cannot see them letting go of messages as a default app anytime soon. So,
and one side note, Alan, I don't know if you've tried the widgets, but they do allow you to now not only add widgets, but also create your own widgets. So that's something that's fairly new, and just keep that in mind, that means that there's going to be some really interesting additions to this. One of those widgets I tried out, which was it uses AI to summarize a long group chat.
Of course it does.
So basically you pull up the group chat, and to the right, and it says 4 people have said Saturday is a good day. 5 people said Friday is a good day. I mean, it's like, it was pretty nice that you could add that sort of widget. So there's some cool things that they can do, but I agree. It seems like they're moving full speed ahead, and we'll be getting to a paid version pretty quickly. I would imagine.
I think we are going to be.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
All
Brian,
right.
we spent 30 minutes on our first app, so that bodes well for this episode, seeing as how we had
Yeah.
3 others we were going to try to cover. Let's go ahead and jump right in and talk about our second one at least. We brought this one up also 2 weeks ago, kind of talking about it's a new app that is something you brought to the table that I had
Yep.
not been familiar with. Is a new web browser called Arc, A-R-C. You can find it at arc.net. And Brian, do you want me to share a screen, or do you have a screen you want to share?
Yeah, if you don't mind, go ahead and share your screen. And now in famous last words, but I'll make this one fairly quick from my end, which is I am still using it. It's my default. I haven't stopped using it. I've convinced myself that I want to learn the tricks about using this app, and there's really only been 1 or 2 things. Are you not able to share? Because I can do that.
Hold on, no, I can.
Okay.
I'll figure it out.
So there's really
I co-host a technology show. I can figure this out, Brian. Just
if you need help, let me know.
keep.
Okay?
Oh, here we go. I got it. Yeah, found it. Okay. So yeah.
So
this is the Arc
I still use this is my default web browser. I'm using
Okay.
it for everything. The only thing that I have found is I've had to go into I'm to the point where I'm going into the settings and tweaking a few things because there has been a couple of frustrations. For example, touchscreen, it's very sensitive to go back. Like if you're 2-finger back and kind of swiping back, as compared to some other browsers, I find myself accidentally going back a page when I didn't mean to. But I found out that was something very easy that I could turn off on my system, which was make it a 3-finger swipe left instead of a 2-finger, and now I never have those issues come up again. But so far, I've loved it. I'm learning to, I'm learning the way that the open windows are showing up, and if I want to go from one window to another and not have it close out and me lose everything that I was working on, which I was doing before. So I still like it. I will say I haven't had any problems with crashing or with anything that looks like it doesn't work. It's just a matter of learning the system, learning how it's oriented things with a sidebar, making it appear and not appear. The fact that if you have multiple tabs that they don't really show up, they are kind of hidden behind one another. You just have to realize where they are and how to click from between one and the other. But
yeah,
I still like it.
I have not made it my default yet. I haven't got to that point, and it's no fault of the browser. It is me not just getting comfortable yet with the way it's set up, because I am on a web browser. I'd say out of an 8-hour day in my office, I'm on a web browser doing work 4 to 5 hours of those 8 hours. I mean, something is web browser related with what I'm doing. So it's pretty critical. And I've got my bookmarks and I've got my tabs all kind of set in the way I like them. So that kind of change for me is going to be pretty big leap to go to. But I will say, every time I've opened up Arc and just played around with it, I'm loving the speed.
Yeah.
Very fast. I love the sidebar being the navigation being on the left-hand side. I really do. It just makes better sense. It's just, for me, I've got to retrain my brain to get used to it. My big thing is, like you said, it's tabs. It's kind of understanding how the tab setup is working. It's I do in Google Chrome, I have 2 kind of identities set up. I've got 2 different Google addresses, one for work, one for personal, and I have my bookmarks and things organized for that. There's some apps I use online that are only on Google Chrome, so I know I can use them in Arc, which is good, but I need to map it to where I can also use everything that I use in Safari on here and kind of keep them in separate identities. It's just going to take some work for me to get to it, but I'm happy to hear you're still enjoying it and using it.
I am.
That's encouraging. And I think if I can just block off some hours to really hone in and make use of this, I could probably get into it.
Well, there were two things, Alan, that made a big difference for me. One was hiding the sidebar and not having to remember to unhide it, but to slide my mouse over to where it pops up. So if you hide your sidebar up there at the top left, and then you kind of slide your mouse over, having it pop up so that I know really quickly how to get over and switch, but not have it, taking away from my real estate. And, because when it's always visible, that's how you train yourself. But once you get used to it and know that this is my tray to go to, and also that I've got certain things open and I can switch between them pretty quickly, that was nice. The other thing that I had to get rid of, and I maybe we'll go back to it at some point, Alan, the window in a window sort of thing that it would do, like if you're on Google Drive, let's say, and you click on a document, it creates a window on top of your Google Drive window, like a smaller version of the window. Someone's saying like, hey, by the way, here's a quick look. Well, that really messed me up because, if you accidentally click outside of that, it goes away and doesn't, it's gone. But so I don't know if do you have Drive up there by any chance or something like that? I think Drive is one that it's an obvious one that does it.
Yes. So I have to remind myself how to get into where I can.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. So if you go in here, Alan, and then you were to, let's just say, double click on something to open up, like an actual. Yep. Okay, so I think you may even have it turned off right now, but one thing that it'll do for certain people is this becomes a smaller window inside of your other window. It's kind of like almost, I don't know, like a zoomed in, window, and then you can click the expand and make it your full window. But it would do that constantly. Well, that's also just a setting, right? I'm to the point now where I've used it enough where I say, okay, there's some things I'd like and things I don't like. And I'm going into the settings and tweaking some of their defaults to make it so it works more effectively with me. Maybe, Alan, I don't know if it's simply by a sheet. Of course, I was doing it in OneDrive, I think is one where it would pop up. I don't know how to actually, because I can't actually predict it as to which ones are going to show up in a smaller window.
I've never seen that happen. So
yeah. So that tends to happen, but it's also a setting, right? And I think it's called maybe even a quick view or a small window or a mini arc window or something like that that'll show up. But what I will say, I have yet to have anything that didn't work. And so that's been encouraging. My university has a number of systems. My university has a number of systems that some don't work with Safari very well. Some, work with Chrome better. Some work with Firefox better. But so far, everything's worked with Arc, which has been nice.
Well, this is the way I always test new browsers is mcbroken.com to ensure that all of the ice cream machines at different McDonald's around us are working. And as you can see, I'm happy to report in the Hickory metro area, we're in pretty good shape right now, Brian.
Yeah,
there's one that's questionable. Status could not be determined on Highway 70, but all others are functional. So as long as the browser works with this, I'm pretty happy.
Well, I feel really sorry for the people in New York right now. I mean, 24% of your
broken
machines are out. Oof.
There's riots in the streets right now. People are not happy. Well, all right. So that's even like right now, Brian, I'm like, I want to go back to a tab. I was like, okay, what I need to remind myself, how do I do that? Because it's different.
And there are keystrokes that you can learn. And that's the other thing that I'm trying to figure out now is what are the keystrokes and can I make them common enough in my mind? Now, if people will remember, those that listened to our intro of Arc a couple of weeks ago, one of the biggest issues is that you cannot have Arc as your default web browser on iOS. That is still the case, and I kind of expect it to stay the case for a while. That it's just not viewed as a browser. So you can't go in and say, I want my default browser to be Arc. And that's a real bummer because that means I'm always now bouncing between multiple browser platforms. So
we'll see if that changes at some point. But good feedback from you on Arc. Sounds like Arc is still a winner, and you're happy
still a winner
with it.
For me so far. Yep.
That is great. I will have to still put in some more time on it to give a verdict on it myself, but I am more optimistic after hearing your feedback on that. So that's good.
All right.
Good, good. All right, that's arc.net where you can get that new web browser. Now, it's just Mac only, right?
I believe so. I believe so. But let me do a quick check while you're filling airtime. Yeah.
Yes. So while Brian is checking on the status of my question, for everybody who was curious, it is arc.net. It is ARC, not ARK, not like the boat. It is ARC. Brian,
So the last I see is Arc is currently only available for Mac users, but is planning to launch for Windows later this year. So
Mac only right now, Windows later in the year, hopefully.
that's my understanding.
Good.
Yep.
Good, good. All right. That is arc.net web browser. Okay, Brian, what did we have queued up next? Let me look at my.
Well, I think we were going to potentially revisit your email dilemma briefly.
All right. Well,
or the new email dilemma, dilemma that you have. Yeah.
All right. Before everybody jumps ship, because oh my God, Alan's going to talk.
Alan's going to go.
Again. Let's go ahead and I just want to make this really quick and easy. If those of you that, God forbid, listened months ago when I did my email showdown,
yeah,
where I compared 16 different email apps on a matrix grid of features, coming down to one, my winner, which was the app Missive, which I will tell you right now, as of this morning, is still my default email app. I'm using it daily, still very happy with it.
But
the only thing I don't enjoy about Missive as much as I would like to is I still feel like the look and feel of it is very non-Mac like. And it feels like I'm using a port from another operating system, which is I think what it is. All the functionalities there, sometimes there's a lot more options and menus you have to get to it. And it's not always the most fun to use email app, but functionality wise, it's great. And I'm using it as of today. However, SetApp, which I have been extolling the features of SetApp for many, many years now. SetApp is a subscription-based service. You can go to setapp.com. You pay a monthly service fee and you have access to over 240 apps for free once you pay the $10 or so a month that you can get. Now, it's just like a subscription. If you stop paying the $10 a month, you stop and you lose access to all those apps. But while you're paying the $10, you have them all. I love SetApp. There's about a dozen apps I use on a daily basis from SetApp. So it's well worth the $10 a month for me. Well, they announced this week that Spark, which is an email app that we have talked about in the past. And Brian, I believe it is the one you are currently using. Spark Mail is now available via SetApp. And so I saw that announcement and it threw my entire world into shambles because Spark was an app I used for a while and I did like, but I had some major bugs with it, especially when it came to snoozing. My version of Spark was not snoozing efficiently, meaning sometimes it would bring the messages back in when it was supposed to on my inbox, and sometimes it wouldn't. And nobody from Spark, the company, could let me know why. They just kind of said, well, sorry, we're working on our version 3, our new version, so we really can't do anything about the bug you're experiencing. So it kind of ticked me off, and I rely on snooze emails way too much, so I ditched it. And that's actually what caused the entire email showdown situation to happen, is kind of my rebuttal to Spark because I was mad because Spark couldn't fix a problem for me. Spark released version 3 of their app about the same time I was having my issues. So I tried using version 3 because I was told that was kind of the way that's where they're focusing their attention and I shouldn't have those problems on Spark 3. But I did not like Spark version 3. Brian, I think
right.
You've tried version 3 and you did not like it either. It's a different layout. It's a different, it just had some different ways of working.
Yep.
So here's where we are. SetApp has announced that Spark Mail is part of SetApp. So if you are a SetApp subscriber, you can now use Spark Mail for your subscription fee right now. I installed Spark today in all of the free time I had today. It was a good 5 minutes just to do something to break up the monotony of everything else I was doing. So I installed Spark Mail and I was just curious and said, well, let me just see, because it has been quite a while since I've used it. And I really want to see the the new version of it and see what it looks like. So let me just show you, Brian, and see if this does anything for you, because
Okay.
I think the biggest problem we had with Spark, other than my whole bug issue on the on snoozing, had to do with the layout of that Spark 3.
Yep.
And so let me, where is it? I do have it open. Why can I not see it, Brian?
You can't see it as your Windows.
What did you do? Did you do something to my computer to cause it not to work the right way?
Yeah. I put childproof elements on it, so you need some help to undo that.
Hold tight. I'm gonna have to fix this up. Oh,
would you like me to share it, because I have the new version just now installed? And
no, I want to do this.
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay,
we'll fix it in post.
What do you notice right away? This is Spark 3, the newest version. And right away, you will notice that if I go into settings and I look at my general appearance, layout is split view, which shows the email list and then the email off to the side. Very similar to how Spark 2 was, at least visibly anyway. So this is now Spark 3. It is much, much more in line with what I remember from Spark 2 that I liked. And it is part of SetApp. And
so what's interesting, Alan, is that you have a view there that was not the default when I just installed it from SetApp.
It's not.
When I installed it.
Change it.
Okay, I was going to say, I'm switching to the split view, and yes, that looks a lot nicer. It looks a lot more like I prefer. And
so
yeah,
here's my
thing.
thing.
The beauty here is that I'm already a Spark person, so now I can go. But I have been using. I will say, my default is Spark, but it's the old version, and I've been sticking with the old version, the free old version. It's been trying to get me to update, but I did not like the new look. The fact that this was with SetApp, I will be jumping to the new for at least a try for a week. My usual week of trying it and make it my default. And hopefully that's the case. The beauty is now I'm really excited about using the Spark and AI, right? Yeah. The AI features in Spark, which have been only available in the 3.0, the 3.
So what he's talking about is Spark has a functionality built in where you can turn it on. I don't have it turned on yet. I haven't wanted to start that chain yet. But basically, if you turn it on, and you do have a certain amount of quota usage you can use for AI every month. So I mean, AI will cost you, if you're going to use it, a lot. I don't know exactly how many tasks you can get done in AI every month, but it does kind of show you the percentage of how much you've used each month, and then when it's going to like auto refill on a new quota. But basically, the idea is that you can use AI to write content in your email, summarize content that you have in your email, or edit the emails you've already written. So I have not tried this yet, Brian. I'm kind of tempted to do it, but I wanted to make sure I was kind of in on the Spark environment first before I flipped the switch and started consuming some of that. So that is nice. I do like that capability is there. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you, Brian, going back to my email matrix, the glorious email matrix I built, which I mean,
yep.
I have a feeling in generations to come, people will be talking about the level of research that went into that.
The great email matrix of 2023. Yep.
Because it really was
people
amazing.
Will talk about it. Yeah.
Actually, should I? Yeah. Let me do this. Just real quick, Brian.
Yeah, real quick. Sure. Yeah.
Real quick. This was my email showdown window matrix, where I had all of these email apps. I believe it was 13 email apps evaluating. I got down to Missive as the winner because it had no orange blocks. Orange means no, or did not have that capability, and it was a deal breaker for me. So that's where I ended up with Missive. However, Spark, way over here, the first block that was orange initially was the side-by-side layout. It had a no on there because the new version of Spark did not have that. Now it does. That is now being cleared. It is now positive. However, the one thing that is still an issue for me is templates. Spark 3 still does not have email templates. That is a bothersome issue for me. I use email templates several times a month on a regular basis for a lot of batch emails I send out for things. So that is an issue I'm having to wrestle with. But what I'm wrestling with is I'm currently paying $18 a month for Missive, which look, it's worth it for me because email is my life. That's where I get most of my work done. But I mean, I knew when we did this analysis, I'm like, look, it's a lot of money and it's more money than I really want to be spending on an email program. SetApp, I'm already paying. I am invested in SetApp. The way I look at it right now, Spark being added to SetApp is like a free app for me because I'm already getting my money's worth of SetApp every month for the apps I do use. So that's where my dilemma is right now. Do I go back to Spark because they've rolled out the new side-by-side view and a few other things that make it nice for me, even though I don't have templates I can use, and I got to figure out some way around that. But that basically saves me the money per month I was paying for Missive. Or do I stay with Missive because I know it works and it works exactly the way I need it to, and just dreamily look over at Spark and just pine for it every week, but never actually move to it?
It's just tough, Alan. I'm since I'm paying for SetApp and I'm constantly looking to find things that I can use that make paying for that worthwhile. Given that Spark's on there and given that I was already on Spark, I'm pretty excited about it. Again, not that I was excited about going to the new version of Spark, but that knowing that I am on a new version of Spark means that I'm going to continue to get updates. I'm going to get new things.
Yeah.
And seeing that it can kind of mimic the old one, which I did like. I'm happy about trying that. It does have still a lot of different things that it does that are not quite the norm. But it's definitely gonna be something that I'll be trying and probably utilizing for at least a week to see if I want to do that or if I want to stick with the old Spark.
Yeah, the whole home screen is something they rolled out with 3 that, by default it's turned off, which I think is good. I mean, it was turned on, I think, at first when you open up Spark 3. So what it is it's a kind of a splash screen you go to when you open up your email program, and it's supposed to be able to set to where it will go to that home screen after a certain amount of time in activity. So it kind of hides your emails and kind of takes you to a front end view. Another feature they rolled out was to have a focus schedule where you say only certain times you plan to work with your emails. So outside of that, you're going to get reminded about when your next time to work on emails are, trying to help you manage your time and not get so consumed with email like I do most of the day. So good ideas. I like the fact that these are options you can turn on, but they're not kind of trying to force it down your throat from the very beginning. A lot of good options. All the swipes you can control 2 directions each way or 2 options each way. All your different scheduling options of sending laters, reminders, and snoozes completely can configure. It's very nice. I have started to work with the Gatekeeper, which is their feature where it will basically take any mail that comes from new senders and puts them in an own little grouped area at the top of your inbox. And then you can go in and decide whether you want to accept or block emails from that new sender. So a little better than trying to do an auto respond to say unsubscribe or trying to individually block. You just get an email and you see it's somebody you don't need to be getting emails from. Just hit the block and you don't have to worry about them anymore. So I like that it kind of does some triage for you at the top of your inbox with that. So a few little features I like. I am planning on working with it a little bit. Right now I've got both email programs running, which I know is kind of crazy, but it's kind of like my daily driver still Missive, but I'm going to go into Spark and kind of keep messing around and trying and playing with it. I've got all the accounts in sync so I can go between them pretty seamlessly right now and work with them. And just if Spark holds up for the next week or two, that may be, I may end up going over that direction.
Yeah. No, well, just for people that haven't tried it, Spark is a really kind of it's a great it's a great program. The old one was great. It's got a lot of really cool things that it tries to do. There are some glitches that Alan has experienced. I haven't experienced those. The nice part is there's a really nice iOS app that goes along with it that works really well. Unfortunately, I don't think it works quite as well as Outlook on iOS, which I'm a big fan of. I still think Outlook is the best iOS mail app. But I'm using Spark just because the snooze. The one thing about using a smooth snooze feature is you really need to be on the same email program from iOS and Mail. And if not, it will not work, right? They will show up in one, but not show up in the other. And so I'm using it for both platforms right now in order to be able to snooze, which I'm trying to do, which I normally did not use. But it's working pretty well right now. So I'm interested to see if this new version has any glitches with the iOS version and all of that. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with it for a bit.
No, you're in a great position to do that. I've got way too many emails snoozed currently in Missive, which means I can't just jump ship and go to Spark anyway. I'd have to kind of let those sort out or redo those in Spark, because otherwise, if I don't ever open up Missive again, those won't pop back into my inbox, which is a problem. So I'm a little stuck at the moment, but I like knowing that I've got a couple options now to consider. Missive is still really good. I still say if you're okay spending the money on it, it is a very powerful email app, and I'm a big fan of it, and may still end up using it. I don't know, but I am excited that Spark is come along version 3. They're up to 3. What is the? I just saw it a second ago. It is 3.7. So I mean, they're making some progress on it. They're patching updates on it. It's definitely better than the early first 3.0 version they came out with. That I don't think was a fully baked idea. But
right.
Well, we got a good one here. So with this,
that's right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So, I mean, these are 3 things that personally I'm still using all 3, which I'm pretty excited about. Now, I will also put a caveat in that I have not started back to my semester, which is where things go completely full speed and haywire and all of that. And at that point, which is next week, whether I revert back to something because one of my elements doesn't work, or one of my the efficiencies that I have in place and my keystrokes and things like that I start using a little bit more regularly, if those start becoming an issue. But so far, yeah, I'm gonna give these a shot for a bit. So
yeah, good. Well, that's where we are. I mean, we got time to just mention one more little update, or we?
Sure. I mean, what are you talking about? We've got all the time in the world, right?
Yeah. The only thing I just want to ask you about.
Yeah.
So we brought up a social media network a while back.
Yeah.
Facebook / Instagram / Meta, whatever they are, rolled out a new social media network we talked about called Threads a couple months ago. And that was at the time that I think everybody saw that Twitter was making some odd choices and kind of losing some steam and having some identity crisis going on as well. So everybody jumped ship as soon as Threads was announced as a Twitter alternative. A lot of people moved over to it. Now, there was a huge flurry of activity, and then supposedly the numbers kind of tapered off for a couple reasons. One, some people just could not get away from Twitter. Threads was not quite as fully functioned yet. You couldn't do things like search for like topics. You could only search for names of users. And the biggest thing I think was the issue with Threads is there was no desktop web version.
Right.
So in other words, everything you had to do had to be on your mobile device, which for some people, that's not a problem. But for me, it is a problem because, what I found myself is I'd be on my phone and I would pull up Threads and I would read and check out posts. But when I got in front of my computer, I was like, okay, well, if I needed to go back and revisit that, I can't do that here. So I found out I end up still using Twitter as like something I view on the computer. And I'm like, well, that's not what I'm wanting. Well, word is this week that Meta will be rolling, or Instagram will be rolling out a desktop version of Threads. In fact, it already has for some users. I'm not quite sure how they staggered that rollout. But basically it's going to be available at threads.net is going to be the website that you would go to up. And if you go there right now, the problem is it's just going to show you a generic, splash
like
screen
an example.
and with a button to get you to go to download the mobile app. So it's not going to actually show you. Yeah. So here it is. So if I go right there right now, like today, even though I've been told that, it's going to be this week, this is what you get on the threads.net. So I want you to go ahead and just click that QR, and that will get you the mobile app, which you probably already have if you're checking this out. But this is where the web version is going to be. So I'm very curious to see when the web desktop version comes out on the web browser. Will Threads stay dominant or become dominant in the whole micro post social media site? Brian, where are you with this? Are you using Threads at all? Are you
So I've made Threads one of my two news sources. As I think I told you before, Twitter to me was simply a news way of getting kind of what's up to date and then potentially jumping in and seeing what people think about stuff. But I have not been back to Twitter since you and I talked about Threads, actually. So I took it off my phone. I haven't been to it on my computer. Haven't really missed it. I'm using Threads, and finally, where we had an issue initially, I think when we went over this, it was trying to push me to follow different people, and now it's to the point that I've followed enough news sources that it's not really overly pushing anyone new. It just comes up with a row every once in a while that says, hey, do you want to try to follow these people? But no, I use that plus interesting. I wonder what's going on right now.
I know. I'm trying to find posts that are not related to a political debate going on right now. And,
right.
Hey, here's one.
Yeah.
Look, it's I think it's Peter Buck. Okay, we'll put him up there for a minute.
So to me, I have two kind of two apps that I go to for news. One is Google News, and I still think that is a really well done, simple news aggregate. And then I go to Threads, and usually Threads first because I try to see kind of what are people talking about right now, and then I'll go to maybe Google News to look at the articles if they're not there. So, but no, I'm still there. I have yet to post anything on Threads. I'm not really there to engage that way. I'm just reading, but so far I'm still with it. Maybe a desktop app would make sense if I posted. I don't think it matters to me whether or not it's there, but hopefully that then gets more people to engage with it so that it can stay fairly active. I know the usership has gone down significantly since the initial flurry. So I think the desktop app will certainly bring some people back in.
I hope so. Yeah, right now Threads is, I have all of my news sources mapped pretty well on there. So I'd say it's 75% news sources for me viewing the news, just like I did on Twitter. So for that need, it's been pretty good. I do wish the searching was better to find topics and ideas of things. It's always recommending the same people to me to follow. Jennifer Lopez, I'm still not following you, and I appreciate all the efforts you're making to still get me to follow you. I mean, everywhere I go on Threads, there is a suggestion to follow JLo, and I'm still not going to do it. So I'm just.
I'm sure she's watching. So if you want to make that, you can make that public P. I'm hoping that works. Yeah.
How about this, JLo? Post something interesting. Maybe I'll follow you. Maybe not. I'm just saying it's kind of the ball's in your court. Okay.
Wow.
Brian, I am tempted. I think I'm going to put my first post up on whatever you call it, my first thread on Threads. I don't know.
Wow.
Can I share it with you before I do and just kind of test it out and see where this is going to go?
Sure. Yep.
Okay. So this actually happened tonight. There's a restaurant in my town, Firehouse Subs. You've probably heard of it. It's a chain.
I have heard of it. Yeah.
Other places. We have one in our beautiful town of Hickory. And I was in there tonight picking up a sandwich for myself and my family. And I look behind me on the wall, and there's a giant mural on the wall of this Firehouse Subs. And I'm going to show this to you because I think this is the kind of thing Threads needs to chime in on, and I want to get some people's thoughts on this. This is the mural, and what I want you to do is tell me what is going on here, because let me point out a couple things to you. For the people on audio, I realize this is not helpful at all, but let me describe this for you. This is a beautiful scenic scene in front of a mountainscape, but there is a tornado off to the far left, a tornado with an arm who is holding on to a child that looks like he's flying. Actually, it's a child. Brian, it kind of looks like you when you were really young. I don't know if you noticed that or not right there.
Yeah, the hair.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's May Margaret too. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Is this our family?
Wait a minute. Is it? I don't know who the child is, but
no, we got a fourth sibling in there. That can't be us. Okay, we're only three of us. But there's a tornado holding a child who the child is flying in the air. There's a girl flying, but she's holding onto the back of a bear, like a full-size bear on the ground. There's a fireman holding a baby the baby's not happy, but he's holding on to the leg of another kid who's flying. All of the other kids seem pretty cool with what's going on right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of smiling going on. Yeah.
There's a giant bear that doesn't seem threatening at all, but just kind of walking there. And then the fireman trying to help the kids? Is he hurting the kids? Are the kids happy or what? I feel like I want to put this up on social media and try to get some sort of big national conversation going on this, because I am fascinated with this picture and I need to understand what I'm looking at. Brian, do you have any initial thoughts just on what you're saying?
My initial thought is, the fireman is saving kids from being sucked up by a tornado.
Okay.
But the fireman is
keep going.
Purposely choosing the kids that it likes, which is the baby and the kid that is posing there.
Yeah,
I guess the bear is also playing a part in this saving piece. I don't know if the bear is going to be ready to attack the tornado, which has an arm. I don't understand why the tornado has an arm.
The bear's throwing an interesting twist in the whole photo, because I think the bear's there to help the fireman. That's my theory. I think he's like the fireman's partner, because he's letting the girl hold on to the back of him to make sure she doesn't fly away. But then I'm really confused with the arm on the tornado. Why this tornado posing in a somewhat friendly way, like almost like he's holding hands with this child that's flying in the air.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
I just thought about this. If you're listening to this on audio and not seeing what we're seeing, and I was just trying to describe it, probably like you probably thought that we just had a side dish of mushrooms before we got on this show, because this is a crazy picture. This is a gigantic mural on the wall in that firehouse.
So do you think this was this like a Midjourney thing? And if so, what were the prompts? Please give me please give me a group of 4 children that are being saved from a very friendly tornado by a bear and a fireman. Yes.
Seemingly very friendly tornado. The tornado does not look threatening. And in fact, he's almost encouraging the one child to fly with him. Like he's like raising him up in a way. But then the fireman, like, why is the fireman trying to bring down this other kid who's flying just like the other kid is? I mean, he seems like he's having just a good. Here's my theory. I think that Firehouse Subs commissioned somebody to make this mural, and Hickory High School is the tornadoes, the red tornadoes. So I think they thought, you know what? Let's put red tornado in there. We are Firehouse Subs. We need to have a fireman in there, and we're near the Blue Ridge Mountains, and there are bears. So let's have a bear. So that was kind of the prompts that they gave this mural artist. So the mural artist, probably on a first draft, my guess is that the kids' faces are all screaming in terror. That is my guess. First draft. They're scared out of their mind, their ever-loving mind, because this tornado is sucking them up. And oh my gosh, if we come down to the ground, there's a bear there waiting for us. I think the executives at Firehouse Subs saw the first draft and said, no. We cannot have children in terror in our restaurant on the wall.
Of our local, local school affiliations. Yep.
Our school mascot. So I don't think there was an arm coming off the tornado initially. I think the arm was added to make it seem more friendly. And I think smiling, happy faces were put on the kids to make them seem like, no, we're all cool. We're good. We like this. This is fun. We're flying around with our friend, the tornado, and Mr. Fireman's here to make sure things don't get out of control. That's my guess on what happened with this mural.
I like where you're going. I think that's probably true. I had not even thought of the bear and the tornado there. That makes sense that those are positive things in your area. Okay, here's my question. What is going on inside of the fireman's jacket? What is going on with the fish scales inside of the jacket? Because that was done purposely, right? Why not just have the jacket together, right? The jacket is open and there are fish scales in there, and I need to know why.
Are they fish scales or almost like roof shingles? Something I can't quite tell, but you're right.
I mean, is it a fire repellent sort of thing? And if so, how would anybody know what that is?
I'm so glad I brought this up to your attention. I've never paid attention to the inside of the jacket until now.
Yep, that's what I'm here for.
This adds a whole nother wrinkle because I don't even think he's a real fireman.
Well, they covered his face. They covered his face.
They covered his face. I think there's something else going on there with the fireman. Why is his face covered? What's up, buddy? And of all the children, the little baby seems the least happy with what's going on because she is the closest to the fireman right now. Anyway, this is what I think I'm going to put up on Threads. This is going to be my first official post. This photograph, and
I think it's a good one. I think you'll get some good responses, and maybe we'll find out. Maybe there'll be someone that gives a whole different meaning to what we're seeing.
That's what I'm hoping.
It's
really what social media is for. I mean, that's why we have technology.
Yeah. I mean, Firehouse Sub is supposed to be supportive of firemen, right? Not saying not saying firemen are child abductors, right? Because you could very easily get that child abduction vibe here, right?
There's a little bit of that, which I didn't want to go down that path, but you took us there, so here we are. There's a little bit of that vibe going on. One person I was with that saw this mural thought that the fireman seems to be throwing this child up in the air when he's got grabbed by the foot. I can kind of see there is a little bit of emotion with that too.
Throwing him up to put him on the roof of the fire truck so he can take him with him
in the path of the tornado. There's a theory. I'm just saying it's just a theory, people. I'm not advocating this, that the fireman is actually trying to feed the tornado in a way. Like he is trying to wrangle the children over to the tornado. Maybe he worships some sort
of sacrifice, like a sacrifice.
Like he worships some sort of tornado like god, and this is the version of it he's now recognizing. Okay, maybe a fish type god, as in those fish scales. Maybe there's some Aquaman sort of thing that Alan, I think you have to post this, because this would lead me to actually want to engage for my first time. And I'm certainly not going to post something original like this, but I will respond if you can throw that in there. Yeah. Now that you give me a heads up. I'm all about, I'm just going for the likes. I'm going for the engagement. That's my motto. It's all about engagement. I need my first post on Threads to be powerful, and I think this may be it.
Does Firehouse Subs have a Threads account? Because if so, there may be some backlash, and you may be banned from Firehouse Subs from here on.
Let's find out. Firehouse Subs, yes, they do. Yep, they're right there. It's okay. Look, I'm not going to tag Firehouse Subs initially, and I don't think I'm going to mention the restaurant. Just
good call. Good call. Okay,
mural in a local restaurant in Hickory, North Carolina.
Good call.
Please help explain to me what is happening in this mural, and just open it up to free form dialogue.
This could be good. This could be really good.
I think so too. I will certainly be following up in future episodes, because I know that's what they're like. Yeah. Arc, got it. Okay, fine. Beeper, yeah. Installed it. Good. What I really want to know about is what's up with the mural.
What the hell's going on in that mural?
What the hell's going on in that mural?
I love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I think we're done.
That is the tech mystery. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up.
So all we're saying is Threads is going to be on desktop here later this week.
And scene.
And topic is So Brian, that was our updates on a few critical apps and one not so critical app that we wanted to talk about. We talked about Beeper, which sounds like we're both on board with still and liking and very hopeful for. Arc, you are still on board with, and I will be gradually spending time with it to get more familiar with it. And Spark might be the email app I move over to. Love Missive, but email Spark is now on SetApp as a subscription, so you can't really beat that. So anyway, a lot of things changing there, and then of course Threads will be on desktop for your web browsing experience here, hopefully in the next few days. Brian, if anybody has any questions on anything we just talked about, or their own recommendations of maybe alternatives to the apps we've been talking about, how can they go? Or if they know
what the hell's going on in that. Yeah. I think most importantly, if you know what's going on in the mural, you need to email us. Email us at info@themesh.tv. info@themesh.tv. And please, your subject line needs to be mural. Here's what the hell's going on in the mural, right? And that will get a response very, very quickly. Yep. Oh, good. My theory is, yep. You can also go to our website at www.brothers-in-tech.com. And the mural is not there. However, it may make it there eventually at some point, once we find out what's going on. And Alan, one thing I'd love for you to do is to maybe throw that image at some point into like Midjourney, and let's see if we can really take it and jack it up a little bit. So.
No, that's good. That's a really good idea, Brian. You and your ideas, sometimes, I mean, they're not often, but when you do have an idea, it is good. I'm just going to go ahead and say my Threads handle for anybody who wants to chime in the conversation. I will be posting on that mural within the next day to 2 days. It's Alan K. Jackson. That is my full name, middle initial. Alan K. Jackson. That is my Threads handle. Please check me out on Threads so you can join in the conversation, because it's going to be a fun one. So
it's going to be wild.
It's going to be wild. What did Trump say about? He was doing an interview with Tucker Carlson tonight. He said it's going to be fireworks. It's going to be something. I don't know what it was, but anyway, whatever he said, same thing applies to my thread post going up this week. So
there we go.
Okay, Brian, I think we're done. Thanks everybody for watching or listening, and we will look forward to talking to everybody next week. We get together to talk some new tech. Don't know what we're going to do on this next episode. We will certainly come up with a plan.
It may be all about murals, honestly. I mean, it's possible. Yeah, it's very possible.
I have been doing a lot more with Midjourney. We may have to go back and revisit that a little bit.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Okay.
And be on the lookout for a bite in the future. That's something that we're looking to do, is kind of short little snippets to give you some info. So you'll have to keep going to our website and trying to see at what point we throw up some new content, but there will be some there, which I'm looking at Alan, because he's going to be the one that's going to have to put it up there. So there you go. There you go. All in your extra time.
For February 2024, we should be able to get our first one up. So now we'll work on getting that up there soon. I agree. That'll be fun.
All right.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care. We'll talk to you next time.
All right. Bye-bye.